The Teen Titans have braved a truly massive amount of villains. They've managed to fight off everything from the godlike embodiments of thunder and lightning, intergalactic aliens, and the British invasion, all while being led by a masked crusader named Robin, the Boy Wonder. At first glance, Robin seems to be a determined leader who stands prominently in front of his team, acting as a guide and support during battle. He saves the day and often goes above and beyond to do so. Overall, his character gives off this insane amount of stoicism, a trait that we often attribute to great leaders. But I've always wanted to explore the question, is Robin truly a great leader? Before we start, I realized that this is a bit of a loaded question. To properly explore the 2003 Teen Titans Robin and his role on the team, we must first outline what it means to be a great leader. I believe a great leader would need to possess the following traits: a vision for the team, integrity, strong communication, and decisiveness. I believe these traits are required in abundance to be a great leader, not just a semblance of them. I also left out physical abilities, as I believe it's not completely necessary to be a great leader. And Robin's lack of superpowers while leading and fighting powered individuals is a crutch used to convey superficial leadership qualities, as it's pretty impossible to not look at him as amazing while fighting off giant monsters with nothing more than a staff. For episode purposes, Robin isn't always actively leading, nor is he always actively doing things that we're about to go into. Each season of the show leans more towards focusing on one of the Titans over the others, with Robin's main storyline being towards the beginning. I say all this to say, I know in many episodes Robin isn't harmful to the team. However, I feel that we need to look at a leader as a summation, not just what's commonly seen or what's less commonly seen. That will give us the best representation of Robin. So let's first start out with the visionary trait. To be a visionary for your team means to have a strong sense of direction and overall goal in place. Robin demonstrates this pretty well throughout the series during moments like calling on Titans. He'd been casually recruiting honorary members of the Teen Titans from the very beginning, with Aqualad being the first to receive a communicator in the show. Robin seemed to have this larger vision for the Teen Titans that involved a global network of heroes who could be there for each other at a moment's notice. Maybe not solely influenced by Robin, but the team as a whole is heavily about supporting other vigilantes, with many of the team members having saved, rehabilitated, or at least attempted to rehabilitate a superpowered individual. I'm talking people like Jinx being swayed by Cyborg to leave the Hive, Raven saving the kids, Teether, Timmy Tantrum, and Melvin from the Brotherhood of Evil, and the team's attempt to accept and train with Terra. So I do think that says a lot about Robin's vision for a team overall. Let's move on to integrity. So Robin stands on principle in a lot of instances. Things like bank robberies or dealing with the High Five. However, areas where Robin's integrity was compromised start to come up in his search for information on Slade. In the episode Masks, Robin's obsessive tendencies surface as he starts diving deeper and deeper into seclusion from his team after a battle with some of Slade's minions. He creates an alter ego, named Red X, that he uses to steal computer chips that Slade was after as a bargaining chip for his attention. To do this, Robin breaks into a secure facility and steals it from a couple of armed guards. At the same time, he sent his team to the facility to stop a villain from stealing the computer chip, and tells them that he's off working on a lead to find Slade, so they'll have to go without him. Obviously, when they arrive, they meet Red X, aka Robin, who then proceeds to defeat his own team using personal and even private knowledge of them. Robin sets up a meeting with Slade to negotiate a trade, so that he can learn about Slade's plan for them. However, to gain his trust, Slade sends Red X on a task. The next morning, Robin is basically playing Two-Face as he pretends to be surprised that Red X was able to defeat his team so easily. Night falls, and Robin has called a fake meeting at the Titan Tower, where he sends his team out to catch Red X in a crime. A situation where he's already at the scene. So the team arrives to see Red X fleeing, and Robin, which is actually a hologram, captured in a net. He sends them to chase after Red X while he stays behind. Red X then proceeds to beat the piss out of his own team. The team is starting to truly get frustrated that whenever Robin, their leader, has been needed for the last couple of important missions, he's been away or distant. So this leads Starfire to wander into his room looking for him, when she stumbles upon the same hologram used at the subway station, leading her to realize that he's been lying to them. But Robin is now able to get a face-to-face meeting with Slade, so everything worked out, right? Except no, because Slade has always known that Red X was Robin, and he set up a trap to take the chips and leave Robin for dead amongst his minions. He's only saved due to the rest of the Teen Titans arriving in the nick of time to fight Red X, only for Robin to reveal his identity. After the failed mission, Starfire confronts him about the whole situation. He tries to justify the lies as a way to get them to fight him like they meant it. So from my perspective, Robin took a huge step back as a leader in this episode. All the respect that he garnered from his team became heavily eroded in just a few moments. He moved as an individual instead of as a unit, because he valued what he could contribute over what the team could accomplish. In reality, the plan most likely would have never worked because Slade has always been 3 steps in front of Robin. That goes into some of Robin's poor decision making, but we'll get into that later. The team's loss of respect and trust in Robin is on full display in the episode Apprentice, where Slade has set up a detonator device to destroy the city. Yet the team doesn't even want Robin to help stop him. They now see Robin can be wildly unpredictable and untrustworthy when it comes to Slade. Even Robin admits that this was the case, yet he feels that he's moved beyond it. If all it takes is a little targeting and elusiveness from a villain for Robin to resort to underhanded and manipulative tactics, then his integrity as a leader is highly questionable at the very least. I also wonder if his plan had worked. Would he have ever told his friends that he was Red X? Or would he have just kept that a secret for the rest of his life? So what about communication skills? Well, throughout the series, Robin has technically been all about communication, like I said earlier, always handing out communicators to any and everyone who's helped his team along the way. However, his actual communication with his team can be lacking at times. We see from the beginning of the series, there's this really non-constructive, confrontational form of communication between Robin and Cyborg. It starts in the episode Divide and Conquer, when the team is fighting a villain named Cinderblock. Their feud starts with them failing to execute a special move, allowing Cinderblock to escape. After cleaning up the mess made by Cinderblock, Robin immediately blames Cyborg for the failed mission. In reality, it was a mistake on both of them, but a leader should never start a conversation by blaming their own team and avoiding accountability. So already Robin is off to a rough start with communication. The two of them go back and forth with insult and name calling, pushing it until Cyborg is fed up and quits the team. Now, Robin and Cyborg have had a history of butting heads for leadership and all things that come with it, as we see throughout the series. It's even shown in the origin episode titled Go, that when they first met, Robin immediately attempted to assume the role of leader. Cyborg instantly gave pushback to the idea.
Stand down.
What do you think, you the boss or something?
Just give me a chance.
However, the plot point seems to have been taken care of in the Titans East episodes, where Cyborg gets the opportunity to lead his own team, but turns it down to stay with Robin and his friends. But Robin also has a lot of redeeming moments in communication, like throughout the entire Trigon saga. For instance, in the episode Birthmark, it's Raven's birthday and she's completely against celebrating. This day marks the beginning of a lifelong prophecy that will destroy the world. Here, we see the return of Slade from beyond the grave, but this time he's much more powerful and is bent on delivering the prophecy to reality. During the fight, Slade manages to grab hold of Raven, causing her birthmark to appear, triggering the beginning of the prophecy. Slade attempts to destroy the Titans, which brings out an emotional response, causing Raven to freeze time and everyone in it. That is, except for Slade. Now she's all alone facing Slade, so the first and only person she goes to for help is Robin. She trusts and believes in him enough that she chose him for support on probably the hardest day she's faced since being born. Robin's attempt to help Raven is to take Slade on solo while she escapes, but the attempt is in vain, and Slade catches her and unleashes the rest of Raven's birthmark. Or how about the 3-part episode The End? Robin is tasked with finding and rescuing Raven, while the rest of the team distract Trigon. The mission for Robin is a lot less about him fighting through hordes of interdimensional monsters, and more about him empowering her to take on her father. The Raven he finds is a powerless, timid child version of herself. It adds to the idea that Robin is truly tasked with nurturing Raven's belief that the prophecy isn't set in stone, and she has the power to change it. His ability to encourage and instill faith in his crew was enough to get Raven to finally fight back against her father, allowing her to cast a spell banishing him from this dimension. In the end, she shows just how important his verbal contribution was to her. So from how I see it, there are plenty of examples of Robin communicating poorly with his team. But he also has examples where his communication was that of a true leader and was able to change the course of a battle. But then there's the episode X, where the Titans find out that there's another Red X, and it's not Robin this time. Robin has to come clean that he never got rid of his suit, and that he powered it with a really dangerous element called xenothium. He had the chance to come clean about this when he was first outed as Red X, but he didn't. Instead, he tried to hide it. That is until someone stole his suit from his vault. But not only did he keep that a secret until up to this point, he also kept it a secret that he'd been buying xenothium from a villain, something I'm sure that his team would not approve of. So not only does this further put his integrity into question, his communication also goes into question knowing that he continued to lie. So I guess now, it's time to talk about decisiveness. Robin is the type of leader who's very in the mix and gets heavily into the work that he does. He also takes solo missions more than anybody else on the team, which is a perk that comes with being a leader, but can also be a huge mistake if not done correctly. So we talked about his poor decision of becoming Red X and using xenothium to power his suit, but I believe Robin has also made countless other poor decisions entailing Slade. Slade was a mastermind when it came to Robin. He knew his weak points like it was nobody's business. One of those weak points was Robin's decision to always trail Slade solo. It was done to a point of exhaustion. Whenever Slade pops up to tempt Robin into pursuit, he'd fall for it every time. Also, never once was his pursuit truly rewarded. In fact, some of his pursuits were to the detriment of his team. Like in the second episode of Apprentice, when he made the decision to go after Slade instead of help the team. He had no way of knowing if Slade would be where the GPS had marked, or if he was alone or not. Yet after defeating Cinderblock, he still chose to go there instead of help with the actual explosive. Also, if he'd chosen to go with the explosive, it likely would have never been triggered, due to Slade not wanting to inoculate Robin with the nanoscopic particles. I get that his line of thinking was to find Slade, take the remote, but the better decision would have never sent him down that path in the first place. There was also the time when Beast Boy was basically poisoned by an unknown chemical while fighting Adonis. He obviously had no idea of this, clearly by his immediate confusion after transforming back into a person after being defeated by the Titans. The team restrained him to a chair, and Robin makes the horrible choice of going bad cop instead of de-escalating the situation. This sends BB into another episode, causing damage to everything from the team to the tower. Again, we see Cyborg's leadership skills come out when he decides to actually treat Beast Boy as a person instead of an enemy. Although this seemed to have been working, Robin arrives on the scene guns blazing and shoots his own teammate. He continued this unreasonable, overly aggressive decision making throughout the fight, only stopping when Beast Boy defends him from Werewolf Adonis, who'd snuck up behind them. The juxtaposition of Robin and Cyborg in this episode really drove home the point that Robin can often make some hot-headed and raw decisions based on emotion and frustration. Something I've noticed while going back and forth watching this series is that in many ways, Robin seemed to be a natural-born leader, but there is this conflict inside of him to be a solo vigilante like he originally set out to be when he left Batman in Gotham City. Watching him in the first seasons feels like he was more of a mix of Jason Todd and Damian Wayne's Robin, before mellowing out to the Dick Grayson-esque Robin that we've come to know. I also noticed in the episode How Long Is Forever, when Starfire time travels to a future where the Titans have disbanded, Beast Boy, Cyborg, and Raven are all on the downhill side of their peaks. Mind you, it's only 20 years into the future, and they look like they've lived 5 lives at the age of 36. But Robin is seemingly in his prime, doing just as good if not better than he ever was. He's still a crime fighter, but now he's changed his alias to Nightwing and works alone. After Starfire makes it back to her time, she tells Robin about his potential future self, who only exists outside of his leadership role in partnership with the Teen Titans in this universe. His response is that of intrigue and excitement. It feels like he would love to be a solo act, like he set out to be before the Titans. And that's really the takeaway I got from this. I think he's definitely made plenty of mistakes throughout the series, but I can't decide if all the mistakes and failures outweigh the success. It depends on how much stock you put into the criteria I set, or how big of a threat do you see Slade, the enemy he's made the majority of his mistakes with. I'll leave it up to you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, if you made it this far, take the time to drop a like and subscribe. Your support helps the channel grow and keeps you up to date on my videos. I also created a Patreon if you want to show further support. I'll be giving away early access to content there, and some additional and behind the scenes content as well. Until next time, see ya.